Hi, everybody. It's Martha Creek. It's Tuesday, June 25th. This is the fourth of the 4 classes of I Am God Consciousness. And I was sharing just before I started the recording of how much this book has moved me since it first came to me. So thank you to Reverend Ron down in Florida who sent it to me as a gift. And I got what I would call as an energy or a transmission. Something moved me just holding the book. I had not opened the book. I had not read a word in the book. I had never heard of the book. And just having the book in my hand activated something in me. So it was clear then, as I interpreted that to be guidance, that I am to dive into this book and to then use this book as I can to fulfill my own mission for my life, which is to serve those who serve and to get empowered teachings to the whole of the planet. So here we are on Tuesday nights, 4 nights in June. And your gift to me, those of you that are listening to this, some of you listen after the class night, and those of you that are here in person are absolute gifts to me. And I absolutely look forward to this. So it's like my tail was wagging all day with people asking me what I'm going to do tonight. And can I come over? And can I come to this? And can I come to that? And I'm like, I can't. I've got this fantastic class that I do on Tuesdays. So thank you sincerely for being here. And for those of you that are living this out, applying this and really taking this to heart. And I know that we will, and the ripples that go out from us and what we've got out of these few lines, these few potent lines, poignant invitations. I don't think we'll ever see all the ripples from it. But we make our ripples and accept that that is God's business, how it ripples and where it goes. So as we begin, welcome, Cassandra. I'm glad you made it in, honey. Present yourself. And align with what you would describe as I am God consciousness. I am God consciousness. I am God consciousness. God consciousness, I am. God consciousness, I am. I know who I am. I know what I am. I know how I serve. I am here, I am here, I am here as God consciousness. So we begin again. The very open at the top willingness and open at the top delight, a joy, an open at the top receptive of transformation, of letting go, and dedicate this course, this teaching, these readings, what we hear, what we share, and what is brought forth here, acknowledging in certainty that it is creation itself, creating as us, individually as us, each and every one. And we open to creation and to ourselves as created, as creation. So be it. Amen. Would you read, Marcia, your pick, honey, from what you was moved by this week?
Sure, thank you. This is from the chapter 6 in the book. I've got a Kindle version, so I can't give you the correct page number, but it's the very first one in chapter 6, which that chapter is entitled Aging in Mystical Consciousness. And the first reading is Aging into God's Consciousness. So aging initiates us into God's consciousness. We steadily surrender everything that defines us: appearance, roles, strength and athleticism, bodily health, visibility, and importance, and take on the disguise of an old person. But in the void, we find something else. We find a new consciousness and moments filled with sacred stillness, presence, and transcendent intuitions. Not only is this our destination, it's a gift conscious elders give the world. Words from this consciousness become revelation, wisdom, and blessing. I'm feeling that embodiment. I guess my years are there, but I think it's an evolution that all of us, as we age, it just was very powerful. Thank you for letting me share.
Thank you for reading it, honey. And I'll ask you to read a few parts of it again. And after we see kind of how it hit us. So Barbara Marx Hubbard came directly to mind. Do y'all remember her? Conscious evolution and conscious creators, cultural creatives. And she got up to around 83 and was cooking on all 6 burners. I mean, so alive, so with it. And people would say I was never in her presence, not once. I was with her maybe 10 times over the years. And every single time I was in her presence, she tried to get me to come to work for her, try to come to work with her. And it was so flattering, of course, and it was an internal no, like that's not my role, that's not my calling to do that. But I witnessed people with her trying to take care of her and caring for her, and they would say, Barbara, you're 83. Barbara, now remember, you're 83. And she would say, I know, I'm getting newer and newer. And that's what this means to me. Like, she knew that she was in the appearance of an old folk. She was in the appearance of aging, and that it wasn't true for her. And she was such a student to life, such a student of creation, and in fact was getting newer and newer and newer. And right up until it was time to cross the veil, or whatever you want to call it. So think about then, as you heard Marcia's words, anybody else, had you started that one or thought about it even before tonight? Anything you want to say about this? And then I'll call out another thing or two, Marcia, after we hear from everybody. Susie?
Yeah, age is only a number, because I've grown beside a mother that was 17 years older than I am. And just to see what my mother has gone through, and then to follow my path where I am today, it's amazing. It just amazes me how, as I age 65, when I turned 65, it's like God said, Susie, it's time to see. It's time to see who you are and what you're giving to the world. And I felt blessed by this knowledge. And I'm the same as my mother. I am 66 next month, but I am a young spirit with a lot of wisdom at the same time. So that brought that up very much so. How
Yeah.
blessed I truly am.
I thought of you too, honey, was just what you shared before the class started.
Mhm.
Like, this is a part of this aging where we're more probable going to have something to grow on the skin or something to grow in the colon or something to grow in the lung or something to grow
That's-
somewhere we don't want it growing.
Yep. Mhm.
And if we stay in this consciousness about this, we'll
Mhm.
meet it with a different understanding.
That's right.
We'll meet it with less fear. We'll
Mhm.
meet it with less
The-
identification of the body, and then willing then to support the body and willing for the body to heal, to activate, to express itself in whatever way it possibly can innately, and we won't make it much of our business.
That's right. For
Certainly,
me, it's joy today. Instead of pain, I suffer with chronic pain. Instead of looking at it that way, I look at it as one more thing that I've learned through my lifetime. Like it's accepting the things I can't change, but change the things that I can.
yeah,
And
that was
also, there's no
that was a
difference.
powerful word in the reading for me tonight. I wrote down a few, but accepting, I mean, how many times have we heard it? When in doubt, acceptance is the answer. Regardless
That's
of
right.
whatever question your answer, whatever your question is, acceptance is the answer to the
Answer. That's right.
So here I am again, Martha Creek, with whatever is the topic, acceptance is the answer. And to powerfully to change what I can too then. Anybody else, how'd you hear it? What did it mean to you? Jeannie?
My mom was in a lot of pain as she was growing. And when she was in her 60s, I was still young. She had me late in life. And I just thought, as I look at myself now, I think I know a different way. She really didn't. And she just had to handle things the way they were handled. She did the best she could. But I don't know. I have a deep compassion when I read this because she did suffer. And really, I'm not suffering. There are things going on, but as you say, it's how you look at them and think, gee, I've passed this now. What's the next thing that's going to come our way that's going to be a little exciting? But no, it's really a different consciousness, and I'm very grateful for that. Not sounding like I'm really up there all the time, but just looking back at my mom, it was just like, this is all she can do, and I didn't know any different either. So I'm very grateful to know there's a different way. And thank you all. Thank you, Martha.
Well, you're welcome, honey. And I've witnessed you in it, honey.
Well, thank you.
It's, I mean, just think about the journey that you've taken, honey, just in our time together and the time that I've known you, what really big wins, threatening wins of aging and of disease and all of that you've navigated, honey, with what you discerned and decided and chose. And who knows what effects any of it have, honey, but it certainly looks like it had some effect. The way you saw something, the way you disidentified and said, this is what's true for me. This is what I'm going to follow. This is what I'm going to do, regardless of what others suggested or what others thought you should have done or tried to coerce you into doing.
Thank you. You were a big help in that. I remember we had several calls, and your whole answer was, you have to go inside, and what are you to do? And I thank you for that wisdom. I do. Thank you.
It was powerful to witness you, honey, going inside.
Thank
Somebody
you.
just showed me their tattoo Sunday. They got them a big tattoo that they think I caused.
Oh,
Mark, you caused me to get a tattoo. I think she said, Martha, look at this tattoo you caused me to get. And it was right on her forearm up here, and it says, go within or go without.
Oh, how great is that?
And she said, and I cannot tell you the reaction to this thing, which is often, what in the world does that mean? That don't even make no sense. What does it mean? And she's like, where would I begin to tell you what that means if you don't know what go within or listen within, or that there's a source within you that is dependable, that is constant, that is caring, that is benevolent, that is absolutely the source of you? How would you begin to explain to somebody that that's a somewhat foreign concept? In so
Yes.
thank you, Jean. Thank you, honey. How else? Anybody else? How'd you hear this one? Any insights from it?
Mm,
Francis, will you read the same one that Marcia just read to us? Read this same one again, honey. Do you have access to it? The first one in chapter 6? And unmute so we can hear you, and then so open to receive it in maybe through another doorway of your being.
Aging into God's consciousness. Aging initiates us into God's consciousness. We steadily surrender everything that defines us: appearance, roles, strength and athleticism, bodily health, visibility and importance, and take on the disguise of an old person. But in the void, we find something else, a new consciousness, and moments filled with sacred stillness, presence, and transcendent intuitions. Not only is this our destination, it's a gift conscious elders give the world. Words from this consciousness become revelation, wisdom, and blessing.
Thank you, honey. So think about then the opposite of trying to hide our age versus I am to make this a conscious gift. Aging is a conscious gift that I give to the world. And steadily surrender it all. The perky breast, the good hair, the taut skin, whatever has to go. To steadily, consciously surrender it all. To become the gift of aging. Conscious gifts of aging. Live in the revelation of it all. And one of the takeaways from 3 Tuesday nights ago for me was that I only will suffer when I assert my agenda onto creation. The same here. The more I assert my preference for what the body does onto creation with attachment versus I'll assert my will, I'll assert my preference, I'll assert my prayer, I'll assert my demonstrations, my manifestations, and surrender. So I'll change what I can. So where does it hit you in your body when you hear or remember you're actually not an old person, that you're actually in disguise? Like my mother's face one day when it was my 50th birthday, and she was so perplexed, like, how could I have a 50-year-old child? Like, and it's like she forgot she was disguised as an old person, that we were the same age. There is no age, there is no number to it. So then we're disguised to bring forward whatever we can bring forward through these disguise of aging. That my words tonight are to bring revelations, a revelation about aging, a wisdom relative to aging, and yes, the blessings of aging. And one of my friends said it this week, and she was having a birthday, and somebody teased her about being old, and she said, only grateful because my baby sister didn't get this many years at it. So yeah, I'll take another birthday. Thank you very much. And Mama used to say, you know, it's better to be the grass than the root. So our little homegrown wisdom. So big, deep breath. And as we practice now this mystical writing, this mystical consciousness of this reading, see what it would feel like if you had no concept of age. Like no numbers, no timeline, no decades, no nothing, just no reference whatsoever for age or aging. What would that be like? Cassandra?
Seems like I'd want to be a child forever and ever, just curious about everything and just make absolutely everything an adventure. Easy to forgive and just keep meeting hundreds of people every day.
Well, get a real sense of that, honey, like the freedom that we had before we bought into some of this.
Before domestication, right?
Before domestication, before the concepts.
Yeah,
Oh, you can watch little children and they actually don't know color.
right,
They don't have all that.
right.
Or who drove the Lexus. But like, who's more likely to give me a hug here? Who maybe could use a hug among this group here? You know, it's why I tease that people had rather spend time with their animals than they had people.
Yeah,
Because those mammals, at least the dogs and the cats, are in a higher part of the brain than many of us. So I would often tease, you know, if when you just don't know what to do, just go lay your leg on somebody, go lay your head on somebody's leg, which is what the dog or the cat would do. Go give them a little headbutt. Like, no words are necessary. And that transfer of that love energy, the heart energy. So I'm going to encourage you to watch a movie called Up. The movie Up. It's a Disney Pixar movie, animation, and it deals with this things we're learning through this poem. So this little boy and little girl fell in love when they were 5 or 6 years old and made a lot of promises. It's funny as heck because this little girl could not shut up. I mean, not shut up. She talked, Mama would say, like her tongue was loose at both ends. And this little guy was so in love with her, and he didn't never say a word because he couldn't get a word in edgewise. And they end up making some promises, cross your heart promises he did to her. And she starts to leave him one night, and she comes back to the window and said, "You don't talk much, do you?" He still never said a word. Now, this movie has gone on for minutes, and this little guy's not ever said a word. And then she said, "You don't talk much, do you?" And she goes, "I like that about you." It's like perfect match. Perfect match.
Yeah. Well, there are
And
2 of them now, so I'll go back and watch the first one again and then see the second one.
so as he goes on, they have a life together. They have dreams together that didn't get fulfilled. And she keeps a little book of this adventure book that she thinks she knows what her life's going to be like. And it turns out to be a different life than she imagined. And he ends up aging. She dies before him. And it speaks about exactly what this poem invites us to, that he eventually had to surrender everything. Not only had she died, he had to surrender the house, the contents of the house. And in steadily surrendering it all, he got deeper and deeper into love. The love of this little boy, which when this little boy first shows up in the movie, he's nothing but a pain in the neck. And this old crotchety man was like just trying to do anything to get rid of him. So he sent him out to hunt snipe. He sent him snipe hunting, thinking that could get rid of him. And then he couldn't. And then a dog shows up. And the dog was in love with this old man. And he said, "I'm your dog and you're my master." And he's like, "You're not my dog. I don't want a dog. I don't want a dog. You ain't your master. Quit saying that." "No, sir, I'm your dog. You're my master." So he just affirmed and affirmed and affirmed till guess what? The man said, "You are my dog. I'm your master." So it's like he finally lined up with it. So check it out. See what you think. I believe it'll make your day. And I believe there's some heart healing in it. For me, again, when I saw it just this week, without looking for it, it literally showed up right in front of my face, the movie. And it's exactly what we're looking at tonight, as well as my own journey. And whatever I had some attachment to, that steadily has to be surrendered. Life's terms, creation's terms. And I believe that the more I can do that consciously, the more sacred it all becomes. So if you watch it, let me know what some of your thoughts might be about it. Up, one word, up. All right. Francis, you got another one you want to read for us, honey?
Yes. So this one was on page 73, and that's the section on healing the world. This one really struck me. So we help from the other side. We are not alone, and the veil between worlds is thin. Ancestors, deceased loved ones, spirit guides, and angels wait on the other side. They listen for our call and reach out to us in dreams, intuitions, imaginary conversations, and moments of loving presence. They have much to teach us. Bring them into your life. And one more surprising thing, the help goes both ways.
So
Help
that one of the
goes-
ones we shared last week, and it was meaningful to me in some of the ways that my family, my ancestors and friends and people with heartstrings show up to me. And I'll share one with another one that just happened today. So Frances, do you want to share, honey, what happened in your prayer or meditation time? Do you want to share that with the group, honey?
Yeah, so I read this, and then I was meditating Sunday morning at Unity. And normally when I meditate, I open up and I call out to my ancestors and I kind of hang out there. This time I said, what can I do for you? And I immediately got my mother's voice in my head saying, take care of Ronnie. Now, this is my nephew, whom I took care of for years and years, but who moved back to be with his family about 3 years ago. And I've kind of let that go. And apparently it's time for me to pick that back up again. But it was an immediate message from Mama. And so I've kind of changed my practice now to ask, just ask what I can do. Mama.
It's really a turn of events, honey, at least for me, because it's very much like I invoke my ancestors readily, like help, help, help. Whatever power you have from the other side, get in here now. And I mean, bring it and bring it quick and bring it all. But I'm telling you, until this, it wouldn't have occurred to me to say, how would you direct me? Show me. Now I'm open to it. I've asked for their guidance. I've asked for their help in my discernment and choices, decision makings, and actions I was going to take. But to think about, I'll just sit here until you give me direction, basically, which is help Ronnie, or Ronnie could use your help. Go toward Ronnie. So it was sweet to hear and witness. And Reverend Ron, I don't know, it may be too personal or too close to you, but you shared a few weeks ago, even before this class, I think, about a voice that you had from across the veil. Do you want to speak about that tonight, honey? Like something you sensed or heard, literally?
Sure. My dear wife and partner of 40 years plus, Lenore, passed away in April. And I have gone through some deep struggle with this, and I was asking, what do I do? And I heard her voice so clearly coming to me saying, we both can focus on gratitude for the many years we had together and for the great things that came from it. And so that has been ever since. That was probably 4 to 6 weeks ago. And ever since, that has been just a powerful support for me that I turn to frequently.
Thank you, honey. And I can imagine, and Ron and I've just discussed this, and Lenore was, of course, his heart, as much of a part of his heart as anybody can be a part of your heart, not be part of your heart, your actual heart. And I love her too. And she was loved by many. And she was also a teacher of this. This was what she embodied. So decades of living this, of teaching this, and then from across the veil saying, here's the teaching. Let's focus on what is real, what we had, all the years we had together, and let that be our focus.
And Martha, I came across a journal. She did so much journaling that I was not aware of. And I came across a more recent journal in the last week. And in reading it, I'm just overwhelmed with all that she had to deal with in her early years and continuing on in so many ways, and how she was treated by her parents and other family members and what she had to deal with. And yet she even though she struggled with that, and I suspect it had some impact on what was the cause of her physical moving on, that she still was such a blessing and such a loving soul to so many people in the way she lived her life.
Amen, and still is. So here's her little voice. Ready?
This is Lenore, and I'm calling to thank. Hi, Martha. This is Lenore, and I'm calling to thank you for the many, many ways that you just bring a smile to my face. And I just want to tell you that that candy was delicious. But everything about you is delicious. I look forward to talking to you. I know. My number is 248-925-6214.
So how would you live if you believed everything about you is delicious? Everything about you is delicious to somebody. The opposite of there's something wrong with me, I'm flawed, I'm faulty, I'm not enough. Everything about me is delicious. And if that brought a smile to our face. So one of my takeaways is what I've said for many, many years, and that is death will not take them from me. And there's work in consciousness to live that out. For me to still speak their name or call their name or refer to them or turn to them to seek their guidance from across the veil, to seek their wisdom. Anybody else? Ron, Reverend Ron, do you want to read one for us?
Sure. In chapter 8, the final revelations, there are a number of them that struck me, but toward the end, and it's on the Kindle book, it's page 127. I don't know what it is on the other book, but it's called The Cure for Unfinished Business. In the end, the only cure for unfinished business is love. Love the world, love whatever happens, no matter how disappointed, betrayed, or hurt you feel. It's never what you think. Love is the answer, the revelation, and the final freedom.
Thank you. If that's true, if the words you just heard are true, what are the implications?
Can it be strength that happens at a certain time? I lost my father. It'll be 16 years, November the 11th of this year. And he was my roommate for 5 years. I was blessed with his presence. I didn't know my father as an adult yet. I had only known him as a child. And for him living with me, he showed me a lot of things. He made me accept things I couldn't change. The stroke, he had a stroke. And then he shared things with me. And then I just looked up to him. I loved him as a dad, my papa. And then as an adult, I respected him. I adored just the emotional part of himself that he was so cold with because he didn't know any different. And I got him to tell me he loved me by telling him all the time, I love you, Papa. And just by telling him, I opened it up. So when my father passed on November the 11th at 10 to 5, I guided him. I had unity in my heart. So I was able to guide him. And I sent him off to meet my grandmother, his mother, for bread because my father hadn't eaten. He had stomach cancer. And he was without a stomach at the end. And it was just very hard at that time. But I realized something. I was blessed to have him for those 5 years. And with all I have seen with unity and my emotions and my spirituality, I've learned a big lesson is that I go behind the veil. He gives me strength. My grandmother passed away. She would always pray for me. I missed her prayers. So now I'm grateful for all that they've given me and that I feel them still in my home. They're still in my heart. They're still in my mind. And I couldn't be any more content with myself today, Martha, than I've ever been in my entire life, with gratitude from behind the veil.
Thank you, honey. And that's one of the words, as Reverend Ron read to us, that it's like an ultimate liberation.
Mhm.
Certainly to have lived in whatever way we can and will now going forward with whatever's going to leave us with less regret. Whatever that's going to be with less regret in that. Thank you for sharing your parents with us, Susie, and your heart,
Thank you.
Reverend Ron.
On the page before what I just read, there's a passage that's called the solution. Love is not outside you. It is your very nature. You imagined love existed somewhere else, in somebody else, and then went off in search of it. Through life's long journey, love was lost the moment you created a self idea separate from God. In mystical consciousness, a different voice whispers, I am the love you are seeking. There is no more need to search. I am you.
Thank you. And you get a sense of this. Starting now, that we actually apply what every sage and seer and faith tradition, every sacred text and scripture has told us to look within, to go within, that it's closer than our hands and our feet. Even terms like self-realization. Realizing God as self. Will you read that one more time, Reverend Ron? That one you just read?
The solution. Love is not outside you. It is your very nature. You imagined love existed somewhere else, in somebody else, and then went off in search of it through life's long journey. Love was lost the moment you created a self-idea separate from God. In mystical consciousness, a different voice whispers, I am the love you are seeking. There is no more need to search. I am you.
So let's try that on then. Something along the lines of, see what seems more suited for you, along the lines of, I am what I've been seeking. I'm already the love. I am the love I've been seeking. I am the love I've been seeking. I am the love I've been seeking all my life. All my life, I've been seeking the love that I already am. Up until now, I was seeking. I am that love. No more seeking. I am that love. Imagine being free of the seeking. And every person we meet, there's nothing to get from them. liberated. I'm trying to get something. The ultimate solution.
So the next time we connect with someone, we can see ourselves as bringing them love.
Yes. Yes. And what, like a consciously, you know, like last week, my takeaway from last week, one of them was to sanctify everything. So to bless, to confer blessing to everything, to everyone, to every situation, every circumstance. So the opposite is how I'm hearing it tonight. Instead of seeking something from them, to sanctify them, to sanctify the space, to be the love that I am, free of seeking anything from them. True liberation. A new ease. And I know you have glimpses of this. I do too. Like yesterday, I had a lunch with 8 people. And I have this practice of where I keep certain amounts of cash in my purse so I can give it as I'm called to, as I give it as I'm directed to. And it doesn't make sense sometimes. Yesterday was one of those times. And it was a young man who had not waited on our table. He had not been to our table. But I was watching him after he set the table, these other tables after people had left. So he was cleaning the tables. And then he set the tables for the next guest. Then he would stand back and look at the table setting. And then he would go back to it and move the glass just a little, or move the napkin just a little. Like such care. And I thought, he's sanctifying the table, blessing the table. So I had asked him, could I have a to-go cup to take the tea I hadn't drank, the tea I didn't drink with me? And he couldn't really understand much English. And another server came up who had been serving us, and she already had me a to-go tea, although I hadn't asked for it. And then I was clear that this money that's in my wallet is for him. And I had a little pause that he may not understand me, like why I'm giving him money. And it was clear to do it anyway. So out comes the money, and I just put it in his hand and held his hand and said, this is a gift. This is a gift. This is a gift for you. And he didn't respond much, seemed a little confused. And I just smiled and patted his hand and like folded up his hand around the money. And he thanked me. He put it in his pocket. And then he kind of stood there like a statue, like he was frozen. So I paused a minute, like, am I just going to let this be? Or what am I going to do? And I just kind of walked on past. And then I paused, turned back around, and he was coming toward me to hug me. Not a word. Not a word. So the power of sanctify and open to some guidance. And as intentional as we can possibly be with whatever we want our lives to be about, if we have a life, which is the next course, I guess. You know, do we have a life or does life have us? Which is the question. And either way, if it's my life, I darn well want to look back and be less regretful about how it was spent. And if I don't have a life, then I want to bow every day to what God's doing with it and how it's been used. And it's a good use of me. Another good use of me.
It was a holy moment.
Indeed, Reverend Ron. And we were talking about it before some of y'all got on, that we're still handing out those Holy Moments books. Reverend Gay just ordered 36 of them for a memorial service at request, that they want to hand out those little Holy Moments books at somebody's memorial service. So there, that chapter on spiritual multiplication is absolutely true, because we are sowing the seeds of holy moments around and around. Yeah. Any questions, anything you want lifted up for you? The recordings are at SLC Troy on the YouTube, SLC Troy. And at least 2 of them are up and the other 2 will be up before too long. Send them out to anybody you think would be blessed by taking this journey with us, even through osmosis of our journey through this mystical poetry, writings, teachings. Ron Biddle, I'm glad you made it in here tonight. Thank you very much. I think about y'all, the gifts that y'all sent me. Some of y'all have sent me gifts, and I use those gifts for stuff to fund some of the stuff that I do. So you're giving to this man that I just described without even knowing it, by what you send my way. So, and many of you said just yesterday, one of you gave me more money yesterday and said, just add this to whatever you're giving away. I know you're giving some away, just add this to it. So I absolutely will and do. And here is this picture of my mother that comes up over and over and over again in my memories. So this is the last time she went fishing in the physical plane. So July the 4th, this particular week coming up, the July 4th holiday week, and she passed in the first week in September on Labor Day in that week. And she caught a fish. And there was no doubt when we went that day, and there's her catching the fish. That's a video. Let me see if it'll play.
I don't have such a drag. Might break it up.
Look at her.
I think it's Moby Dick. I think it's a Loch Ness monster. What do you think it is?
Her mama got one, didn't she?
She said when she got the fish on her pole, she said, this is a big one. I'm going to have to lock the drag. Well, you'll have to look that up. It's a fishing term.
Yeah.
He was right. And nobody was catching much of anything that day. And look what she caught.
Oh, isn't that great?
So
That is amazing.
I think there's benefits to doing the right thing. Like you may catch a big fish. So God bless you, each and every one. I love you more than bacon. I used to say I love you more than my luggage, and I don't use luggage much anymore. Ron Biddle, go ahead, honey.
What was the booklet you just mentioned a few moments ago?
Holy Moments.
Holy Moments. Okay.
Amen.
And it's if you go to Holy Moments book, I think it's called holymomentsbook.com, you can order some free ones. And we used them as one of our studies early on. And we've seeded of spiritual multiplication of that little book that started with Reverend Ron Scott up there. He got a hold of that thing.
Mhm.
It's just gone out and gone out and gone out. Yeah.
Oh,
Our,
one more
our
thing.
tablets have it, yeah.
Marcia, did you find the gloves?
No,
Oh, I left some gloves by the door of the office.
no, I haven't been there today.
Oh, okay. Okay, well, that explains it. Right. Okay. I just got some gloves for the kitchen.
Well, there you go, another holy moment. All right, till we meet again, friends. All
Till we
blessings.
meet again.
Thank you, Martha.
Blessings. Thank you, Martha.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here, all of you. Yeah.